Well, the coronavirus is going to create the largest economic downturn since at least the Great Depression. Indeed, the actual decline in production in the US, industrial production, is faster than during the Great Depression, although I assume it will not go as deep or last so long. But the latest data coming out, the US GDP turned down on an annualized basis by 5% during the first quarter, and the impact on the US economy was not very great during the first quarter because the coronavirus only really began to hit the United States in the last month, that is in March. So this is going to be the most severe economic downturn since the Great Depression. This creates great changes in the world economy. China will be one of the only countries this year, major countries, which will have a growth in its economy. It's not yet clear. As we know, the National People's Congress has not announced a growth target, but there will be positive growth in the China's economy this year. Nobody knows whether this will be 2%, 3%, or etc. It's too early to tell, but it will grow positively. There are only, if you take the latest projections of the International Monetary Fund and its World Economic Outlook, there are only three major economies in the world which are projected to grow this year, which is China by far the most, then India, then Indonesia. The US is expected to contract by more than 5%. China the IMF projection is growth of 1.8%. I don't think they take this to be extremely exact prediction, because nobody knows. It's just indicating that China's economy will grow. This means there will be a huge shift in the economic relation of forces in the world in favor of China. If you look again at the IMF projections, it projects that by the end of next year, the US economy will still be smaller than it was in 2019, whereas China's economy will be more than 10% bigger. This is the type of change in international economic relationship of forces in China, which took place during the international financial crisis, in which China did much better than the US. Therefore, this is a very negative situation for the United States. I mean, there are internal problems in China. I'm not saying that everything is great inside China, but the situation for the United States will be much worse. This I'm afraid, will lead to very aggressive actions by the United States on the international field, because they have to conceal a terrible fact from the US people. We've just passed the horrible milestone that there are 100,000 deaths from coronavirus in China, in the United States. But this underestimates the situation compared to China, because the population of the United States is less than 1/4 of the population of China. This would be equivalent to having more than 400,000 deaths in China. This is terrible catastrophe. The United States has a privileged history, because it's protected on one side by the Atlantic Ocean and it's protected on the other side by the Pacific Ocean. There are only two mass deaths experiences on US soil in the entire history of the United States. It's never been successfully invaded since Columbus came. One was the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, and the other was during the Civil War. So this experience of mass deaths on the soil of the United States is going to have a traumatic effect on the thinking of the United States people. It also means it's very difficult to know when the US economy will start to recover, because until it gets the coronavirus under control, the economy can't really recover. And at the present time, the coronavirus in the United States is not under control at all.